Catharines, Mayor Matt Cisco here, and welcome to another episode of Talk STC. Wonderful to have you here. A couple of really fun things going on in the city recently. Depending on when you're watching this, we may either be the day before the State of the City address or we may be after the State of the City address. I want to thank everybody who's coming out to the State of the City. It's always a great time and an opportunity for me to tell the community what's going on in St. Catharines, what's happening in the Garden City. So if it's before, wish me luck. If it's after, well, thanks for coming out and hopefully you got to catch it if you weren't there in person on your TV. I also, because we are coming up to March break in a few weeks, I want to wish a happy and safe March break to all the teachers and the students out there. As a former teacher, I know how exciting this time of year can be. So good luck and stay safe to everybody. Make sure you come back safe and sound for the new school year, or for the second half of the school year, I should say. Today's episode, I am going to be joined first by Angela Murata and Melissa Paolicelli, the owners of the award-winning Two Sisters Vineyards. They are entrepreneurs, philanthropists, and community builders here in Niagara. Ladies, thank you for coming in today.
Thank you.
And then in the second half of the episode, we are going to be joined by Hugo Cheshire, the Director of Policy and Government with the Greater Niagara Chamber of Commerce. And we're going to discuss all things Chamber and talk about all of the things going on in our local economy. But my first two guests, Angela and Melissa, owners of the award-winning Two Sisters Vineyards, as I said, entrepreneurs, philanthropists, community builders here in Niagara. Angela, we'll start with you. A little bit of a bio. You began your career in the family's development company, Solmar. You oversee strategic and business planning, product development, budgets, forecasting, and overall customer service for TSV. Did I get that right?
You did.
Okay.
Makes you sound old.
I wouldn't say that. It makes you sound busy is what it makes you
Busy,
sound.
yes.
All right. And Melissa, you ensure exceptional guest experience are achieved through in-depth staff training and direct marketing initiatives to consumers. You also oversee the branding and marketing strategies that ensure positioning of Two Sisters as a premium addition to the dynamic Niagara wine and food scene. Mm-hmm. Did I get that right?
Yeah, it sounds fun, doesn't it?
I will say, welcome, first of all. Thank you for coming in. I am constantly amazed, and I try to have entrepreneurs on the show as often as possible. I'm constantly amazed, where does the energy come from? Because it's a lot of work to get, and Two Sisters has done such a phenomenal job of establishing itself in I'm going to say a short period of time, although I'm sure it didn't feel like a short period of time. But where does the energy come?
Oh, our family,
Yeah.
our parents, our kids. We just don't know what it's like to not be busy and to not have responsibility. So we were raised to just, responsibility is the way of life. We need to be responsible about something. We need to achieve. We need to prosper, and it's all for good reason. It's for our families to provide. So the foundation is there for to create something that continues to evolve and grow for the benefit of our family. But it's amazing. It is a lot of work, and we're driving around a lot.
Yeah. Definitely. And so you touched on the foundation. We're going to talk a lot about that today. But your family's business, you said, it taught you that responsibility aspect. How else did it shape you to become the people you are today? Because I would imagine, that's, you've spent your whole life living in it. How does that change who you are today?
So, we've had incredible role models. Our parents have just raised us to really understand the value of hard work and dedication. And when we were younger, we were raised also by our grandparents because our parents were working. My mom was a teacher. My dad was building his business. So again, having them as role models and that dedication to work and family, but always making sure that family is a very important part of whatever we do. There's always that dinner time together, those Sunday nights together, or there's those Sundays during the day together. It's very, very important to have that family connection, because then when you have that security of family, you can accomplish anything.
So true.
Yeah.
Oh no, you said it so right.
Yeah.
Having that stable foundation. Our kids, our parents, no matter what happens, they'll be there for us. No matter what failures, they'll be there, because we have failed. We've learned through failure. Yeah. We've taken on so much level of risk. So there's fear, and we're just lucky to have that support.
And that's the word you right there. I was thinking that when you have that support network, I try to tell my kids the same thing. Failure's okay. Failure, driving to a wrestling tournament 2 weekends ago, and I looked at my son. I said, "Listen, you're going to win, or you're going to learn. We don't worry.
That's right.
Like losses come with learning, and
Yeah.
if you have that family support network, that's what helps you learn. So, so you're not originally from Niagara. How did you wind up in Niagara?
Oh, my parents always had a love for Niagara.
Yeah.
Like growing up, and I've said this so many times when people have asked, all our friends were going up north, you know, going to Muskoka, going to Collingwood, but our parents would take us to Niagara. And of course, things evolve around the enjoyment of food. So going to Niagara, it was all about, you know, picnicking somewhere by the river. So we've had so many great memories of us being by the river, picnicking. And then, you know, we'd visit the wineries from time to time. We just fell in love with the overall landscape and that sense of how we felt being around a landscape of true cultivation.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, and so, you know, obviously you developed a love of wineries because you came down, you started Two Sisters. Let's talk a little bit about the success of Two Sisters, because I have a list of accolades here. I'm going to get to a couple of them, but 2016 Deloitte Startup Award at the RBC Canadian Women Entrepreneur Awards, 2018 Best Small Winery in Canada by the National Wine Awards, 2019 Company of the Year at the Spirit of Niagara Awards. What was it like to build that business and to see the incredible success you've seen?
Just listening to name all of that, it's emotional for us, because this hasn't come with, it hasn't been easy. It's been hard work, it's been dedication. I would say blood, sweat, and tears with everything. Because again, you're starting a business, so it's not flowers and champagne.
Yeah.
So
it's a very multifaceted business. But I'll say that I got to know my sister on such a deeper level than just a sister. She is a true partner, and I'm a true partner to her. So we you know, strength in numbers, and I feel that we can accomplish anything together. And you know, we inspire our team, I would say, as mothers, as women. But you know, we've sacrificed a lot. We haven't, you know, we've missed a lot of things that our kids were part of, because you know, we were up in Niagara. So, but they know that it's all for good reason. They I think respect us for our hard work and determination and perseverance.
So, and I feel that just because I have a similar situation with my own kids, and I know when you're building something that you think is vitally important, you want your kids to understand why you're away. And if they get that, then it makes you feel better about continuing to put that time in. We haven't even touched on 11th Post. I will say I had the opportunity to be there a couple weeks ago. Absolutely phenomenal. And I already know my wife has been very clear we're going to be coming back. But we were there because of a transformational contribution that you and your family are making, $15 million to the St. Catharines Hospital. So it's going to be named the Murata Family Hospital. And it's really all encompassing. Like it's going to be, you know, bringing about innovation, changing services, enhancing those services, bringing the equipment that's necessary. And it's on the heels of a $10 million donation to the South Niagara Hospital, the new build that's going on in Niagara Falls, and a $1.5 million donation to Jillian's Place, the Building a Safer Future campaign. And you're going to be a large part of the build of the Murata Family Center for Violence Prevention and Outreach Support. Where does that come from? Because I think it's a beautiful expression of yourselves within our community, but you know, how do you get to that point where you think these are the steps I want to take?
I think growing up, our parents always helped people. So, and I, you know, and sometimes we would question, well, you know, you don't really know him, Dad, you don't really know, but there was always a sense of giving growing up, a sense of community. And, you know, as you were saying that, I was thinking about all the people that work with us. So our, you know, our employees, we've got over 200 employees between both Solmar and Two Sisters and, you know, everything else that, you know, we're a part of with regards to the businesses. We make them proud. Like them knowing that we're doing all of this makes them proud. But at the same time, listen, you know, healthcare is the backbone of every community. Population is only growing, whether it be through immigration, families growing. They need help, they need support. We feel that this is the best way that we could contribute. And with Jillian's Place, that, you know, that touches our heart, because it could be any one of us, any one of our daughters. And we know that, you know, they need to survive. They need to, it's not an end, it's a new beginning.
And I love that you said that. I had the opportunity, I got to be an ambassador for Walk a Mile in her shoes this year.
Yeah, we know that.
And I was there for the announcement, and it's a beautiful thing. I mean, you are still relative newcomers to the Niagara community. I mean, you've been coming obviously your whole life, but to move here and to establish yourself so quickly, I think it's a beautiful thing to have people who've chosen Niagara as their home and then want to give back in the way you do. I think that's amazing. As you look forward, obviously you're going to be here for a long time, and I'm thankful to have seen the businesses, that are thriving in our community. You're going to be here for a long time. What does the vision look like over the next upcoming years? I mean, you're doing such wonderful philanthropy, but there is a business side to all of this. So where do you see yourselves going over the course of the next 5 or 10 years in Niagara?
I think it's just continuing what we're doing. And in terms of the donations and our philanthropic efforts, it's as a family, we kind of look at if it speaks to us. Does it speak to us? Is it meaningful to us? Is it something that's going to help people? I think that's one of the biggest things of our motivation on wanting to do things. But our future here, it's growing. I mean, we have 7 kids between the two of us, and you know what? Their life is going to be here also in Niagara, and it's such a beautiful, beautiful place. It really is. The agriculture, the people, the tourism industry, everything. It's such a great community. And to be able to help the community with healthcare, I mean, again, like Angela said, it's the backbone of your community, keeping people healthy and vibrant and just, giving back.
And with regards to the growth of businesses, we have another winery coming up, Stone Eagle. But again, it's, we see where there's an opportunity. We see that it's such a great, tourism destination. We only know that it's going to grow. And we want it to be, it'll be better than the Napa. Like, I honestly feel, we all feel that it's such a hidden treasure. So hoping to bring more opportunities for employment, having our team grow and rise within the company. I mean, our general manager started off as a restaurant supervisor. So having all these opportunities for them as well makes us really, really proud.
That's phenomenal. And I love the new winery coming on stream. And, it's one of those things where I think Niagara, over the course of time, has established itself. This is a wine region, and people understand that. But the injection of new ideas and new businesses into that wine region, I think, just pushes it continually to get better and better. And I've had the opportunity, obviously, as a mayor in Niagara, you meet a lot of folks involved in the wine industry, but the excitement that it's just continuing to build, I think is almost palpable. So thank you for being a part of that. Thank you for coming on the show today and discussing all the amazing things you're doing in the community. I really sincerely appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you. You set a good example.
Yes.
From time to time. Don't tell my wife that.
Thank you.
St. Catharines will be back right after this. And welcome back to the second half of Talk STC St. Catharines. My next guest is Hugo Cheshire, the Director of Policy and Government Relations at the Greater Niagara Chamber of Commerce, the largest business organization in Niagara, the 3rd largest chamber in Ontario. Hugo, welcome.
Thank you.
All right, so a little bit of a bio. Your role is one of counsel to the members of the GNCC and of advocacy on their behalf. You are a political expert. We're going to get to that. You advise the organization's board, staff, and membership on policy and its impact on the operations. You also advocate for chamber members and the business community at large to all levels of government. And for those eagle-eared folks at home, not from Canada, you were originally from England, Birmingham, but you've lived in Niagara since 2000, dual Canadian-UK citizen, and you've lived and studied in the UK, Canada, France, China, the Philippines, and the Czech Republic. What's best?
I think Canada. I've hung around for quite a while. I might stick around here.
I was going to say, you've been here since 2000. I feel like you've probably made your bet.
Yeah, I voted with my feet.
There you go. You also hold a bachelor's, first-class honors in political science and labor studies, and a master's degree in political science. So you are truly a political expert.
Well, it depends on what company I'm in. If I'm in a general company, then absolutely. But if you bring out my former profs from Brock, and maybe not, maybe a little less confident.
That's fair. Out of curiosity, did you ever have Councillor Joe Kushner as a prof at Brock?
I did not, actually.
Okay.
No, he's never told me.
You are the first guest I've had on where I've asked that question, and they said, no, I wasn't taught by Councillor Kushner.
No.
Okay.
I don't know. Or David Siegel, actually, funnily enough. He's in my department. No, we just never crossed paths.
So you managed to avoid both Kushner and Siegel while you were at Brock?
Yeah.
I didn't think that was possible.
Apparently so.
Okay.
I managed to graduate, I assure you, they're legitimate credentials.
I was going to say,
I did not skip any classes.
It's nothing out of a Cracker Jack box. These are all written on parchment and everything else. Okay.
Absolutely.
You got the seal. So folks in the audience may not be aware. What's the GNCC? What's it all about?
Well, it's actually a good question. Not because it's a difficult question, but a lot of people don't really know what a Chamber of Commerce is. So we're a non-profit organization, we're non-government, and we are a business association. It's like a community, like a mutual support group. And our mission as a chamber is to help our members, be at their best. We enable their success. They're mostly businesses, but we also have a lot of nonprofits, local governments, government organizations who want to access that community, access that services. And we offer a lot of education. We do a lot of seminars with leaders. We bring, elected officials, such as you, in fact, to hear from the business community and amplify their voice. We offer a lot of services like benefits program, business-to-business services, and of course, what I do, which we're probably going to talk about more. So.
Yes, most definitely. I will say, and always appreciate the help. The GNCC, is helping to put on the State of the City address. You do that for myself. I know you also do it for Chair Bradley with the State of the Region address. So the GNCC, I think, has been a good partner with the City of St. Catharines and the region of Niagara over the years, and it's appreciated. Advocacy is, how I know you and how I know the Chamber the best. I used to make jokes when people in your position previously would come to council because it got to a point where they'd let us know that the GNC is a membership-driven organization with over however many thousands of members. But you really do represent the viewpoints of a huge swath of the local business community. How has it been building that relationship with the local business community?
Well, we certainly try to. And a lot of the time, in order to best support everyone, we often stick to sort of very broad-based policies a lot of the time, like things that we know are going to benefit all of our membership, or 90% of our membership. Although we do often work with specific businesses and industries as well, where that's called for. The recent example would be the Uncorking Ontario wine paper. We work very closely with the wine industry, putting that together and getting it out there, bringing it to Queen's Park, because it has so much potential for the wine industry. It's obviously a big player in Niagara, but it could be so much more. And that's what the report gets at, is all the things that the government could do to take the lid off that industry and make it really grow. So that's an example of a specific industry there. And of course, we also lobby for the usual stuff like lower the taxes, better services at the same time. If you could do that, that'd be great.
I've been told.
And things like that will benefit a very broad base of membership.
Yeah. So it's funny. I don't want to go sideways and get too deep into very specifics, but that Uncorked report by Deloitte is a great example of where the business community is able to partner with local government, the city and the region, and really start to make gains at the provincial and the federal level. We've had a number of conversations, around that report and the things that we could do, because you're right. There's an opportunity in Niagara which is very different from the rest of Ontario and pretty much the rest of the country outside of a few small pockets. We can leverage the wine industry and the things that the wine industry does, to work on things like education and things like housing and transportation. Like, there's so many pieces that can all fit together. But I think that's a great example where a body like the Chamber is able to, be that link between government, private industry to really move the upper levels of government. So kudos to you on that, and we won't get too far into the weeds. How long have you been at the Chamber in this role?
It has been 8 years, actually. I started on the federal election day, 2015.
Wow.
So yes, I like to say that I was hired on the same day as Chris Biddle and Vance Badaway, but that's not technically true, because I was hired before, and then I started on that day and they were hired on that day, but then started later when Parliament changed hands.
Yeah.
But that makes it very easy to remember. It's on election day.
So you're a one government policy guy in terms of the federal government.
In terms of the federal government, yes. Although given what the NDP had announced, the day or two ago, that might change.
Could change.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
You're a political expert, so we may get to that. But what are the biggest changes? Like 2015, I personally, as I was a city councilor, then a regional councilor, now the mayor, I can see a lot of changes that have occurred since 2015. From your perspective, and let's leave COVID out of the conversation. So maybe we'll do this in 2 phases, 15 to 20, and then we'll talk about 20 on to now.
Right. So your question is essentially, what are the big changes other than the largest and most significant change?
We'll look at the changes pre-COVID and
Right.
then the changes post-COVID, because
Right.
I think they're different conversations, right? You know, there were some pretty massive changes going on, COVID aside, you know, pre-2020, and then obviously a bomb goes off in the world, you know, with the pandemic
Right,
and the restrictions. But pre-2020, what was going on? What did you think was the most significant thing that was soon to be dwarfed?
Yeah, well, obviously the changes in government have been significant. It's we went well, as you said, with the federal government, nothing has changed, but we've seen a major change in the provincial government. I think we actually saw a major change in the municipal government too. This the not last election, but the one before. It was really a sense of all change, clean slate. We changed chairs, we've changed so many municipal councillors. So those government changes have been very interesting. We've seen a real fluctuation in our relationship with the United States, and being a border region, that does affect us, you know, a lot. Being just up the street from Hamilton and with a very interlinked economy, when they announced steel and aluminum tariffs, that obviously, you know, affects us a great deal.
Yeah.
And just the various changes around the world, we've seen issues like housing. The housing issue was something that was, I don't want to say on the back burner, but it was definitely a ticking time bomb, and it seems like lately it's actually exploded.
Yeah.
You know, so that there was a huge change there, and it just spills over into the business community. And there's, I don't want to say a sense of panic, but really a sense of all is not well in the business community because of a lot of these changes that have happened. So I wish they could say that they were all positive changes, and some of them have been.
Yeah.
But a lot of things changed, I think, are not for the best in that time.
Yeah, and I have to think, you know, with the higher interest rate environment that we're going through now, I mean, that makes it very difficult for those businesses that do want to invest, that do
Yes.
want to expand. You know, they're caught in a bit of a holding pattern right now, waiting to see if the Bank of Canada is going to make any changes. And I like to tell people, I go to bed every night praying for a 50 basis point cut in the rate at some point soon, please. Somebody.
Yeah.
But when you're dealing with your membership, like, what's the discussion around things like that, like interest rates?
Well, the interest rate obviously makes it very difficult to invest or borrow funding if you want to expand your business, as you said, but it also has knock-on effects on things like, well, it is designed to combat inflation, which is obviously a huge concern for businesses because all their costs are going up. And the increase in costs that you've probably seen in, you know, restaurants and cafes and so on, which everyone has seen, is you're not seeing gouging there. What you're seeing is it being paid forward because their supply costs have gone up so much and their cost of labor is going up because it's very hard to find people. And for years now, businesses are saying our major problem is finding people. During the pandemic, that took a pause, but now it is back. And we had a period just a year or two ago when there were close to 1 million unfilled jobs in Canada, which was just crazy. And it's about the same here. Like, it's the number one thing we hear from businesses: we just can't find people.
And I hear that now in my role as mayor. I get out and talk to the business community, and the labor shortage seems to be the number one concern over and above, you know, the increasing cost. Is I can't find anybody to do the job. You know, so whether you're dealing with a steel company in St. Catharines or you're dealing with the cafe on St. Paul Street, like, they're all running into the same issues where they just can't find people. So switch gears, political expert, and I'm curious. So governance seems to be the topic that never wants to go away.
Right.
We obviously just went through the standing committee coming down to listen to a variety of different viewpoints. As a chamber, you have members who probably represent different factions, we'll call them, in terms of the debate about what do we do about governance. How does the chamber come to a conclusion? Do you come to a final ultimate position, or, you know, where do you wind up in this governance debate?
Sure, it's an interesting question, and a governance question is one that is fascinating and also deeply boring at the same time, depending on where you stand on it.
I will agree with you wholeheartedly on both of those points.
Yes, but amongst our membership, there is not much consensus, and we have polled them repeatedly about it every time it comes up, which seems to be about once every 10 years.
Yeah.
They're a little early because it was last examined in 2019, but I guess it's due again. I think for most of the businesses in Niagara, what we find is it's either a very important issue or you're not aware of it, because it either impacts your business on a daily basis. Say if you're a developer or a builder, then you are constantly dealing with 2 tiers of government, and that can be frustrating. It makes it a burning issue for you. But if you run a coffee shop, you probably, other than paying property taxes, never encountered a difference in 2 tiers of government. So it's just not something that crosses your mind, especially when you're dealing with supply chain issues and labor shortages and a million other problems. And this is, this is problem number 47, and you're trying to resolve problem 3.
Yeah.
So there's that not real sense of consensus. Our position is that we really feel it needs to be results oriented. I'll tell you a story. So I was talking to my dad a few years ago, and he said, your stepmother's going to get a new car. And I said, oh, what kind of car? And he said, blue. So that's the technical details taken care of.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is when you're looking at what structure you want, I feel like that's what you're doing. You're picking at the color of the car, but that is the least important thing about the car. The big question is, what do I want to get out of this?
Yeah.
Do I want better services? Do I want lower taxes? Do I want to get housing built faster? Do I want to close the infrastructure gap? Do I want to speed up planning and permitting? Like, what is the objective of this reform? And then what model gets us to that objective the best?
Yeah.
And that's how I think we want to look at this. Like, establish what we want our government to do or do better. And there's definitely room for improvement. I think anyone can say that when it comes to planning, services, permitting, and so on. There's a lot that can be improved. Okay, how are we going to get there?
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're 100% right. I know I made a presentation to the standing committee, and I tried to identify the areas where, this government is very focused on getting housing built. And I said, these are the areas where I need structural change to be able to be better at getting housing built and supporting the housing that we are building. And I found, and regardless of the, where different mayors landed on the issue, it was one thing that I took from that standing committee process. A lot of them approached it from the same viewpoint. Like, listen, these are the issues that we're facing. This is how we think we can fix those issues. So I think that message is getting through to the political class, and we appreciate the advocacy work on it.
That's great to hear.
Hugo, thank you so much for coming in today. I appreciate it. We're going to do this again sometime. I like your perspective, and I don't know if we'll necessarily agree as much the next time as we did on this one, but I appreciate you coming in.
Of course, my pleasure.
Thank you so much. St. Catharines will be back right after this. St. Catharines, thank you so much for joining me on another episode of Talk STC. I want to thank the founders of Two Sisters, Angela Murata and Melissa Paolicelli. I also want to thank Hugo Cheshire from the Greater Niagara Chamber of Commerce for his insights. Thank you so much, as I said, St. Catharines, for joining me on this episode. I can't wait to see you on the next episode of Talk STC. Take care of yourselves. Take care of everybody. Get out and enjoy whatever good weather we get, and I will see you next time.